To discuss what we can expect to hear about the mayor's agenda is political strategist Basil Smikle. Good morning, Mr. Smikle. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
All right.
Good to be with you.
So Mayor Adams said he is going to make 2023 our Aaron Judge year. So what are our chances of hitting 62 home runs out of the ballpark?
Well, you know, it's going to be an ambitious year for the mayor, and as has been reported, crime has to be at the top of his list. It was a big issue in the gubernatorial race just a few months ago. So I imagine that he's going to lean into that pretty hard. But you know, there were a lot of folks who were really looking at his first year to see what he would do in following up on those campaign promises, particularly around crime and quality of life. So this is a very important speech for him.
If there was a report card for Mayor Adams, what grade would you give him, and what's worked in his first year of office and what hasn't?
Well, I think he gave himself a B+ or something of the sort. I'd probably give him the same. I think getting crime down is going to be really difficult, not because he doesn't want to or because he's not trying hard enough, but a lot of the issues that bring crime up are just difficult to deal with in a short period of time. It's kind of a long-term, you have to address it sort of in the long term through time. But any of the more challenging ways that could address bringing down crime immediately are very controversial. Ending dangerousness in the state, and he has to get the state legislature to do that. So a lot of the issues that he needs to deal with, he actually has to go to the state and federal government for help, and that's what's proven to be somewhat difficult. But you know, the way he's dealt with the migrant crisis, there was an attempt to really embarrass a lot of the northeastern governors and mayors by the southern governors who sent those migrants north. But you know, with all the bumps and the wrinkles, he's actually managed to handle it well. So you know, he's done okay, but he recognizes he needs to do better.
So Basil, you mentioned crime, and let's just kind of use that as our launching pad here. What else can he actually do if he's running into roadblocks both from the state and from the federal aspects of these solutions that he's trying to manufacture? What else can he do locally to bring crime numbers down or give people at least a sense of security?
Sure. One of the things that he may talk about today is addressing extreme recidivism. He's looking at giving the court system more resources, more support to be able to deal with those recidivists who are getting court dates, who are not being prosecuted fully, but are getting back on the street and committing more crimes. The police department and commissioner has talked a bit about this over the last few months, and I think the mayor wants to be able to tackle that. They believe that addressing that extreme recidivism would actually work to bring crime down significantly. But in addition to that, tackling bail reform, and I know it gets a bad rap, but there are elements of that the mayor and the governor see eye to eye on in terms of being able to address crime.
And what areas are you thinking are possible to change when it comes to bail reform?
Well, this issue of dangerousness really stands out. We're the only state in the country that actually doesn't consider dangerousness in terms of the bail conversation. So the question is, can judges have more leverage, more leeway in being able to make decisions about whether or not to give someone that comes before them bail? But a lot of critics have looked at overall package of bail reform and criminal justice reform as the primary reason that crime has gone up. That's really not the case, and most of the research would tell you that. But there are some issues like that dangerousness and giving judges more flexibility that a lot of folks agree could have an impact.
So let me ask you one last question before we let you go. You mentioned it before, the migrant crisis right now. What are the chances that any federal money is going to come into the city to help aid Mayor Adams and the rest of the city officials that are trying to do something sensible for this issue?
Yeah, you know, all of the calls at the federal government right now, there's certainly some sympathy there. But the reality is this is an issue that no one, unfortunately, knows how to deal with effectively. We heard of these concerns about migrants at the border during the Trump administration. We're hearing it during the Biden administration. That suggests that it's a problem that's somewhat intractable, that no one really has a handle on it. But I do think that in terms of providing shelter, New Yorkers do what New Yorkers have always done and step up to the plate. It may cause some budgetary concerns down the road, but The mayor is focused on tackling it, and there are so many advocates in the city that want to see him succeed in this. So we'll get some support from the federal government, possibly from the state as well, but it's still going to be a troubling crisis for all of us.
Political strategist Basil Smikle, thanks so much for your insights this morning. We really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
And Mayor Adams' State of the City will be happening this afternoon.